Okay, I'm Christophe, the CEO of Vigo Creative, VR company, and today we are going to make a XR table round with different people from the XR industry, and we are going to talk about different subjects. I will ask first to introduce each of you and your actual projects who is available on the store.
Test. It works, yeah? Over the year? Okay, cool. So I'm Tommy Maloteaux. I'm the CEO of Myron Games. We are a studio based in Mons in Belgium, and we make a virtual reality god game Sim. Let you pronounce that the way you want. And yeah, we now work on basically it puts you in the shape of a god, and you create your own world, and you don't control the small humans into the world, but you try to influence them in somehow. And also because it's a VR game, you can just grab them and throw them beyond the world, or just kill them merciless. There is an image with that. Yeah, you do bad things. You are a good god, as you can see in the example. Now, this is for me. I will pass to Lily.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily. I'm working with Tommy. I'm currently working on the update of Sim most of the time. Also working for the communication and stuff like that. And I also work on a mixed reality project which just start. So basically that's it.
So my name is Laurent. I'm a producer at Illusions, which is in Flanders, but I'm also one of the directors of Fishing Cactus. So yeah, I'm doing quite a bit of things, I guess. We just recently released a game on Quest called BAM, which is one of the first mixed reality games available on Quest 3. So I guess I'll highly focus on that. But Illusions is also the maker of Space Pirate Trainer, which was highly successful on Quest. So yeah, gonna mostly focus on MR today.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. A lot of people think VR and XR is a new technology, but this is not the fact. VR exists since many decades. The first patent for VR headset was created 80 years ago, and big actors like Sega and Nintendo failed on these markets. For you, why the new era of XR will succeed?
Sure. Yeah, well, if you are mentioning the super old Nintendo headset, yeah, which was really cool. I think it's just pretty much like everything. If no one starts, even if you know, I mean, they knew it would fail. I hope, but I think technology has come to a point where you can finally like blend reality into your own world. And also like the fact that we're going wireless completely now, at least it's the trend for the last couple of years. It just makes it easier for anyone to just pick it up for a reasonable price. It wasn't always the case, but now it's become quite reasonable compared to other kind of consoles. But the fact that it's become so easy to just put it on your head, press a button and like be immersed. I think that's the breakthrough that made it that it's just successful nowadays. Yeah, technology and ease of use, definitely for me. It's what made it click in the last years.
Okay, I can be next. for me, the inflection point, I will put it a bit earlier, like in 2016, something like that, when the Vive introduced the control of movement. For me, it's really the game changer that I was waiting personally to go into VR. It changed from a screen that you have in your head and that puts you in stereoscopy, but not really immersed in the world, to the concept of presence. So really being inside the world and do your stuff inside it. I built my whole game around that, and I really think it's the main selling point of VR now. The screen is a second thing, actually. The controller is really the main thing, in my opinion.
I'm too young to remember this kind of headset, but I think there always have a difference. There a difference between Quest 2 and Quest 3, because with the Quest 2 you can't share what you are playing. People like to watch the other play. We saw on Twitch, but we all start with a big brother or big cousins, and we love to watch other play. And I think if you can't be part of the game, even if you are not playing it, you exclude a lot of people. So I think that contains a lot of on that.
Okay, thank you. And Tommy, you are talking about the controller for UX Revolution. What do you think about the new hand recognition that come now to the next version, and the rumor about Project Ventura from Meta without any controller on his headset?
Honestly, I'm not the best one to talk about hand tracking, because for me it doesn't work well enough to completely replace controllers. I like the haptic feedback you get from controllers. I really enjoy using them, and when I use hand tracking, it works when you want to do casual stuff like changing video YouTube when you make your dish or stuff like that. But you actually play something and feel something. For me, it's not good.
Yeah, I join him. For me, a game controller is really an enhancement. It makes you do things that you just cannot do with your hands. All the muscle memory you can build. I mean, if you look at people who do like games on Quick and all those crazy contests, or the Tetris. I don't know if you've seen the YouTube thing about Tetris. Like they invented new ways to play Tetris with putting your hands in different ways, and to be able to do more than X amount of moves per second, something like 12 or 13 moves per second. It's ridiculous. But like that's the controller. The controller allows you to do that, to go beyond what your hand can physically do. And I think that's just, for me, I see the controller indeed as part of, like, sometimes a controller defines a game as well, which I think is really cool. And I love really cool controllers. Like, I don't know if you remember the gun from the CRT era. That was amazing just to play that. And having just your hand and doing pew pew with your finger, it's not the same feeling for me. So I completely agree. I see lots of like manipulation games and stuff like that with hands make most sense. But also what I love about controllers is that they have haptics integrated. Right now with hands, unless you go into like the research and development stage with like haptics gloves and stuff like that, but which are also controllers, you have to wear them on yourself. But like having just haptics vibrations, especially the new ones that are coming with the new headsets, it just enhances your gameplay just to feel those things. It goes beyond gaming, of course, but let's not go into the subject. It's too early.
Okay. In 6 months, we see on the store a game called Pew Pew with only hand tracking. We know where the ID come from.
Okay. It exists already. Yeah.
Okay, making a game and bring its game to the market is something difficult, but in their industry, it's more difficult. You encounter more difficulty, more problem. And can you explain for you what is the difference between a classical games and a VR games or XR games, and how you solve that?
You want to start? Yeah, I can start. You want to start? Yeah. Okay. I think there is a lot of challenge doing VR stuff compared to classic games. I didn't make a lot of classic games before, so I just guessed that. But when I see all the struggle I have, I'm pretty sure I'm true on that one. But the first thing was the motion sickness. It was a big deal for a long time. I think now most developers have the good key to not let it happen. I mean, all professional developers, I think, don't want their player to be sick, and we do what we can to avoid that. I think we do it well now. But there's still a lot of performance issues. I mean, we will never get a game in VR that look as cool as a flat game, you know, because I mean, you need 2 images to make the stereoscopy anyway, so it's already half the frame rate when you start. And instead of a game that can run at 30 FPS, you need something that run at 72 FPS at least, and people would like 90 or even more than that. So it's really a struggle. The optimization is a big deal, I think, with VR, and the control. You need to invent everything, which is cool, but it's also a challenge.
For me. For the aspect of communications, that's really hard too, because not a lot of people got a cask. So you can't just speak of the game everywhere, just make a flow of your ad everywhere. You can't just do that, because you need to convince people who already have a cask to buy your game. And I think that's a challenge too.
Yeah, for me, the hardest is really the UX. So it's the user experience. Like, how do you do your menus? Like, do you make them pointable? Do you want people to click on them? Like, do you put some stuff behind them? No, it's like UX in VR. It's not standardized, which is great, because you can have there's still people who are inventing amazing UXs in VR, and I love manipulating stuff and everything. So the manipulation aspect and feeling more like you're in control of what you're doing, it's way cooler in VR than just like scrolling with your mouse in your menus and choosing your options and stuff. But it also makes it so it's really hard to make it so you don't have to teach or explain how to use it. So in VR, you're always looking at this thing that's super easy to understand, but you want to make it cool, but you don't want to make a tutorial to even use your menu. But most of the time, when you have a cool idea, it's not super, it's not evident for everyone that you have to use it that way. It's the same with the game mechanics. I mean, when I pick up a controller, I'm a gamer, so I'm going to start trying to jump with A and shoot with the triggers. But in BAM, we just learned, for people who just bought the headset for the first time, we had no tutorial. And we had about 10% of people who had no idea even how to shoot in the game. I'm like, yeah, you press the trigger. They're like, it's not explained. So they were standing around being destroyed by others without shooting. And for me, it was like, oh shit. So this is like, you have people who have never handled even a game controller in their hands, and especially in VR. So that's like first time playing, and it's in VR. So it's like a double dip beginner, like noob style gameplay. And I wasn't really expecting that. So we had to make a tutorial in like 3 days for people to even just walk around in the game, which was really amazing that you still have to do that in 2023. But that also shows that there are people who are getting into VR who have never had a console and have never had a PC to play on. So it's also cool to see that kind of movement.
If I could just bounce on it, it's just that it's fun because it's something that's really different than in 2016, where it was mostly enthusiasts with big PC playing VR, you know. And so a lot of stuff was okay at the time because everybody knew how to play games, you know. And at some point it changed with Quest 2, and we saw a lot of casual players coming to VR and really enjoying it and playing it more than gamers actually. And we had to adapt and to change a lot of to improve the UX of our games, and it's also a big challenge.
Okay, for the technical parts, but also a game is not only technical part. There is also the publishing, the financing part. We know it's more difficult. Now we are going to talk a little bit about that. What about financing this game and publishing?
I can't really talk about financing because I didn't get any. I mean, if you try to get money for VR, good luck. With publisher, as far as I know, it's impossible. The best chance you have is to talk directly with platforms. But of course, if you have made no game before, like it was the case for me, it was just nope. So you have to find a way to fund it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, funding can be quite difficult. In Belgium now, it's getting better on all fronts. So whether it's in Flanders or Wallonia or Brussels, there are ways to fund VR games. It's never going to be 100%, but it can really de-risk your game. So that's the good news. But indeed, it's a network thing. So for iLusions, Dirk has always been he's like one of the sweetest guy in the world. So he knows a lot of people high up just as good friends because he drinks beers with them and me, or we have ice cream, whatever. But it's funny to say that, but if you're in the right spheres and you have the right connections, but it doesn't have to be a forced business connection. You don't have to force yourself to be like, oh, I really want to meet these guys. Usually it happens out of the blue. You know someone from someone, you went to an event and they introduced you, and then what are you doing? Oh, I'm making games, blah blah blah. And then you show them a video, like, just because you want to show your game, and they love it, and then they're like, we really want this game on our platform. Like, oh really? That's cool. And when you have this kind of approach, it becomes way easier, one, to get funding, but also to make sure that your game will get some visibility when it comes out. But indeed, especially the VR market, because we can say there's still PC VR, you have now PlayStation 5 VR, which is okay-ish, and then you have the all-in-one VR mostly on Quest, because Pico, especially in Europe and in the US, it's very low units. It's big in China, but not great here. But yeah, it's the kind of a platform like Pico, for example. They usually come see you once you've had a game that works, and then they fund the port. They fund you to put your game on their platform, and they give you what's called a minimum guarantee, which is they will tell you, okay, we really want your game, so we will pre-fund the first 100K copies. So they give you money in advance for copies that they haven't sold yet. But it's only if your game has been successful and they really want it. So, but now so every time you have a generation gap, for example, now Quest 3, it's more mixed reality oriented, stuff like that. Meta has ways to fund specific projects. So if you know the right people and you have concepts that really tick the boxes of the stuff that will go well on their headset, there's an opportunity also to co-fund with Meta or with other platforms. You have a few VR-specific publishers, not that many, but you do have like Vertigo Games, for example, in Holland, that also publish almost only VR games, and these are the type of partners where if they like a game that you make, there's opportunities for them to also give you some publishing money. But indeed, it's not as, let's say, mainstream as flat game publishing. So you have to really know the right people, and you have to make games that kind of tick some boxes for them to even think about it. But I could give you another example, and then I'll stop talking. But a game like Hyperdash, if you don't know, from Tommy from Triangle Factory. So Meta didn't want it on the platform at first. So what they did is they put it on SideQuest, which is the free version. It's the, let's say, the hacky friendly, dev friendly platform. And it was hugely successful on SideQuest. So then Meta came back to see them and said, hey, we really want this game on our platform now. So it's also a way to...
That's what happened to us.
That's what happened to you as well.
I pitched Daysim twice to Meta, and they said no twice, without any more information, just nope, again. And I say, but I don't care, I'll just put it there, I will sell to the people who want it, and of course I will not make a ton of money, but actually the sales on Appla was not bad at all. And eventually someone from Meta came to me and said, hey, do you want to pitch again, Say, okay, in fact it worked like this. Sometimes you also have to prove that they are wrong, you know. And if you prove there is a market for your game, someone eventually will come to you also.
So I think we are all agree to say important thing for developer, for people who make their game, go out of your studio, go to GDC, go to Gamescom, and not only go to the event during the day, we all go to the event and the deals is...
Yeah, the most important part is after the meetings. It's when the people start to relax and don't talk about work anymore, and you create real connection with people. Because in the end of the day, it become real friends.
Yeah, and you don't have deals there. Huh? You create the human relationship, and then when everything settles down, that's when usually like a few weeks, a few months after, that's when stuff start to get real again. So yeah.
Networking is very, very important in this industry. So another subject. Technology evolves. Meta Quest 3 bring you more power with the Gen 2 GPU. More power, and big actors like Apple are now joining the adventure with Vision Pro. Do you think this new device will be a game changer?
Apple or Quest 3? Which one you are talking? Both, because it's two different subjects for me. Quest 3 bring a lot of power to the device, I think, and it helps a lot because for me, we just reach a point where you have graphics that are good enough so we can really make cool games with it. And I think we may enter in a golden era for games because now we don't have as much constraint as we had before. But we will never be the nicest game in the world like in the flat games, you know, so we need interesting mechanics. So I am sure we will have a lot of innovation in the VR ecosystem, a lot more than in the classic games, and that it may bring the player because it's the place to play the fun games again, you know.
Yeah, for Apple Vision, I'm not sure there is even playing to get games on it. I don't know how they're planning to do that, but I'm not really sure what they want to do. At the first place, it was to make a telephone, cell phone in a headset. So I'm not sure it's going to work because it's a very, very, very expensive phone with a very, very expensive cost of time and future and also habits in life. You don't have the habits. People who gonna buy an Apple Vision most of the time didn't get a Quest before, so it's a new product for them, and I'm not sure it's not gonna be a disappointment for a lot of people who expect much. But Quest 3 is gonna definitely change the game. I'm pretty sure that the fact you can bring the headset outside your house is going to change a lot of things, because I see a lot of people already being very exciting of playing golf outside, this kind of stuff. And kids are going to love the fact that you can play outside with it. Parents too, I guess, so they can play outside finally. Yeah, walking. and as I say before, you don't have a bubble around you when you are playing. Not like before. People maybe want to buy them for a couple. We play together, so that's gonna change something.
For me, we're really into a transitional phase towards like way smaller devices. We were all like, we're all kind of like having a laugh when we first saw the first Google Lens. Was it called Google Glass? Google Glass, and we're like, you look like a dumbass if you wear those. It's because indeed, you looked like a dumbass, and you looked like one of those hippie farty tech guys from Silicon Valley. I'm not saying you look better with a Apple device on your face or with a Quest 3, but these are like, they're not made to make you look, they're not made for you to blend in. Like, it's a gaming device, right? So it's okay if it's bulky, it's okay if it's there. But for me, those things, and it will happen, it's just a matter of time. Once you get that like visual fidelity inside a pair of glasses, which is slowly happening, you will have a game device on your head 24/7, and then you can have a lot of risky scenarios like people seeing your love stats on your face in the subway, or I matched this girl like 2 years ago on Tinder. I don't remember her. I gave her a thumbs down. Like I don't know if you've seen. There's a very cool video on it's a dystopian video on YouTube about hyper reality. I don't know if anyone has seen that. So like we're really at the verge where now it's like you can play in VR, but you can still be with friends, and I think that's super cool. But indeed, I don't see myself like talking to my friends with my freaking huge Quest 3 on my face. I will look even worse than wearing Google glasses, to be honest. But I would definitely see me with those and a bunch of other friends to play amazing experiences around the table. So like I would with a board game or something like that. But the Apple device, to come back to it, I mean, when Apple came out with the iPhone, it was, let's say, it made smartphones mainstream, right? So Apple has this genius way of being trendsetters, and we're all being like, oh yeah, who's gonna buy how much is it? 4,000? Yeah. But it's
very expensive.
Do you know how many people have So in Belgium, we just released how was it called, a bon d'état, and I think people put like 40 billion euros on those. So we think people have money. Like, not everyone, I don't, but some people will put 4K to have an Apple headset. Like, people are paying how much now for an iOS device? How much is it? iPhones? 1,400.
Very expensive, yeah. 1,000 something like.
You can get a Huawei for 200, but you still have people buying phones that expensive. So I don't think it's going to be a market blocker to have a device that expensive. But once again, if you have zero content on it, then you're gonna what are you gonna do with it? Just do video conference. So once again, content will be king, as it is for Netflix, as it is for Quest. The reason why Quest is so popular is that their catalog is curated, but there are games in there that are really, really, really good, and that's what makes people buy those headsets.
And it's also a game changer for me for marketing, because you see some ads from Meta on television, on classical television. You see some ads from Apple, and that brings the virtual reality to more people. Even if they don't order this headset, they know virtual reality is driven by big company, and that's good for all the industry. So our next subject. So you do VR games, but I hope you play VR games. What is the last game you have played? Last time you launched your Quest, not for your games, but for other games, what was the game you played?
I cannot say. I can't talk about that. No, actually, the last one was this BAM. So I tried it on Beta Connect, and I really enjoyed it, actually. I also tried Red Matter 2, which was pretty awesome. It's the first game I launched on my Quest 3, and when I launched it, I thought, wow, so cool. I really felt like I had a real screen in my face. Now I had no screen effect. There was shadows on the wall. But I was really impressed by what I saw with that game. So Red Matter 2, I think, is the answer for me.
That was a piano game, I think, last night. And
so Virtuoso, I think.
Virtuoso, I think, and it's in MR, and you don't have you have end reconnaissance. So I don't think it's very. I think you need a real piano to put the game on it, but that's pretty nice to learn piano. Yeah.
It's a nice concept.
Yeah, and I love the concept that you can learn a lot of things in EMR, because you can show a lot of things, and you can do the real manipulation. So I think it's gonna help.
The last game I played was a beer pong game. For real, because I played beer pong not so long ago, and I really sucked at it, and I was like, damn, I want to train for the next time. So I bought this stupid beer pong game, but it's quite realistic, and I learned the real rules, by the way, which we were not playing right. But no, So when you spend, I guess it's the same with you, but we spend so much time in the headsets that, like for example, I played Beat Saber and stuff like that. But when I started working in VR, I was like, nope, I'm not putting the headset on my face anymore. So I tend to stay away from the headset as much as I can. But when we have friends over, I always like put on a show with some of the cool games that we have, like Richie's Plank, and you have people who, it's just stupid social stuff. But indeed, I was also waiting for something in with pass-through because it makes it way easier for people to understand if they've never played. You put it on their headset and then you can explain while they're seeing you. So it really helps with the social experience for sure.
Thank you. Do you have some clue for young people who want to start in the VR XR industry? Because there is a lot of people from Albert Jacquard and other people who are watching the stream who say people who succeed. And you have something to say to them for the beginning of their career?
First thing, play a lot of VR games to understand the rules first, because I mean, if you start to do anything in any direction, you will end up being sick or making sick your playtester, which is not a good idea. And I will also suggest if you start to subscribe to the Oculus Start program, which is a really cool program by Meta to help young developers. You don't have to be young, starting VR developers to get started. So they provide a device for you, they provide some help for you, and it's also a good way to start making the right connection we talked about before. So I really suggest to take that route, and also take a look at SideQuest. It sounds like a weird stuff on our side, but there is a lot of eyes on this thing, and you should not avoid that store at all.
I would say go for it because as I see for the eSIM, we start very small and the concept was very simple. So I'm gonna say if you have an idea, go for it and keep it simple. Keep it simple. That's what we say always at work, because if you have a good idea, even if it's simple at the start, you can make it grow. But people gonna like it, so you are gonna get a community, and community is very, very important. You have feedback for free first, and that's very, very nice to hear from the player directly. So make a community, make your game ID on the track, and go for it.
My advice would be, since it's a very curated platform, it's not like Steam where you have 10,000 games a year, and those platforms, they tend to only have one or two games of the same genre. So if you're gonna make like a game that already has a few competition that are really good, that are selling really well, there's almost no chance you're going to make it, because that's actually the way it works on Meta's side. Is if they see a game doing well with a big community, they will just put the focus on them. So I'd say be super original if you're going to make a VR game nowadays, or an XR game, and try to make something that really stands out on its own, and it's not like a clone of something else. Where people on Steam can play for the 30th time like a roguelite concept, because it's just well executed and you have a good community and people consume those types of games. In VR, there's a tendency to not allow too much games of the same genre at the same time. So be careful about that. Definitely, you will be blocked without knowing, so your game will just have no visibility if you're just a third or a fourth game of a genre or a type on the Quest store, especially on the Quest store.
Okay, thank you. And before the question of the public, I will ask you to tease us about your next production.
Actually, I do completely the opposite of what he suggests, because no, it's not really that. I don't. We don't make stuff that already exists in the VR ecosystem, but what we do is we look the old games that we loved as children, and we try to reinvent them for VR. So for the first one, it was a bit like Populous and Black and White, and for the new one, we are doing something with in the spirit of Dungeon Keeper. So you are playing the bad guys, and you manage a bunch of monsters. We played a lot Dungeon Keeper and in the other game inspired by it, and we try to reinvent everything to adapt it to VR, but really from scratch from VR. It will never work on PC, you know. And just that change a lot of things, actually. If you really do it well, if you really do it seriously, it changes almost all the game, basically. So this is what I will do for the next game. But we have something else also that Lily will talk to you about.
Yeah, we are working on a live simulation in IMAR, so we are going to try to make some creatures that people can bond with and can take care of, something like that. So I can say not much, but...
Oh God, what am I gonna say?
NDA.
No. So definitely on BAM, we're gonna do more levels, more power ups. So the game is going. So just so you guys know, I think we made BAM in like 6 months, which is the shortest time I've ever had to make a game. But so that's cool because we really had to focus on the main gameplay, and like all the stuff that doesn't matter was cut, which is cool. So gameplay is really nice, but content-wise, it can grow. So now we're going to focus on content. And then with Fishing Cactus, we're releasing, after almost 4 years of work, we're releasing a new LBE game, so location-based entertainment, called Swarms. So that's a PC VR game streamed into the headsets, so we can have full-blown quality. So yeah, we're releasing that worldwide soon. So we're now dispatching it to... And it's like... super high-end VR LBE. It's like quality-wise, it's on par with like After the Fall and all these kind of like really high-end games like Ghostbusters and stuff. So more like the quality you would have found at The Void if it still existed, but made in Belgium. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I'm gonna make a snowboard game again. But that's not going to be VR because we talked about motion sickness. And if you've ever tried to put a first-person camera on a headset and then try to go down a slope in VR, that's not
Tube
really...
simulator.
Yeah. And actually, it's funny because we were joking about it. And then once we released Shredders, I think 2 months after we saw a snowboard VR game come out, and we tried it, and it didn't go well. So I don't know if people... I guess people who are completely immune to motion sickness can play it, but I can't touch that kind of stuff. Not possible.
Thank you. Now, question for public. Is there any question?
Yeah, no, it was just to ask a bit about, you were talking about vision, the Apple Vision, and a topic you did not aborde, it was the topic of the operating system. So in Windows Mixed Reality, we had an operating system with 2D app, and it was really blowing my mind how I can work in this environment. And the only stuff that was missing to Microsoft, except the fact that they stop as soon as they do something good, is to have a 3D element where you have several apps in 3D that interact together. And I think that Apple is working on that. Facebook showed a brief moment of that in the trailer, and a friend of mine on the links is working on that on Linux to make several applications work in the same environment. And what is your point on that? What do you know about that, and how you feel the market on that? On the software part and the multi-application part.
You mean like when you put your headset and like is it your environment that's alive with additional stuff, or it means like having multiple things running in 3D? You mean like multiple games and applications?
Some application working together in the same environment.
Yeah.
So, for example, in Meta here, you can see that you have a board on the side, but you have a small robot in front of you. You have something on the table, but all of them are 3 applications running in the same environment, and that's what Apple is trying to do. That's what Meta is starting to do, and we can see it coming. And so, I just want to see what you think about all that.
I can maybe start on this one. I think on this one, Apple really has a big advantage. Apple owns the whole ecosystem, so it can make it communicate with your phone, so or your iPad or stuff, and so you can see stuff that is computed by the other device, and it helps a lot because don't forget that we have a really limited power on the Quest, for example, and multitasking means splitting resources, and what it is basically is an Android device. So it's pretty limited what you can do with a device like this in terms of real work. You need another device to do the heavy lifting for it. So I think they all want to get there eventually. It seems like when I see the trend, it seems to be the goal, the end goal for all companies. But if it's really what interests you, it's probably something that will be better on Apple, yes.
Talking about gaming on my side, when I game, I try to do just one thing at a time. It's not easy all the time, but like I know a lot of young kids now, they game and they watch YouTube at the same time, for example. God damn, I sound like an old fart saying that, but I just hate that, to be fair. But yeah, for me, when I game, and especially if I game in VR, my main attraction is not to be able to do that whilst doing something else on the side. But for stuff that it's more productivity or like entertainment, I completely understand how that would work. But indeed, like, why not having like it's a bit of a mix of what you're saying, and what you're saying is you could have, for example, and they already have that, I think on Quest they have the Xbox Cloud app, so you could play Xbox, which is an entire game session, and watch a tutorial on a screen just next to you, like for leveling up in Diablo or whatever. That's what I've been doing, but I actually printed the level guide in front of me, because but like what you're saying is also, I think, for stuff that are entertainment / productivity, it makes a lot of sense to have connected objects or connected apps. On a gaming point of view, you're talking about companion apps or something. Like, I can give you a concrete example that dates back ages ago when I played Final Fantasy VII on PC. They had a PC companion app which was a Chocobo 2D grind game where it was just basically a mini Chocobo in 2D, and you could grind stuff, and the stuff you grinded in the mini game, you got it in your inventory in the real game, which I thought was pretty funny. But why not having these kinds of things where, let's say, I don't know, you have your creature game thing, and actually like a subtract of it like is living in your living room, even if you're not playing the game, and if you feed it, it's getting XP even outside of the main game loop. Why not? I think that's pretty cool. But for a game like BAM, for example, where you're basically destroying people and sending them flying in the air, like having to concentrate on something else at the same time, for me, doesn't make a lot of sense. But I fully see it for other types of operations, indeed, yeah.
Okay, thank you. There is another question? No one? Okay, I have a question for the public. Who have a headset at home?
Uh-oh.
Not everybody? And who have two headsets at home, different? Yeah, at home or at the office. Okay, yeah. Okay, we see the developer. And who have three? Yeah. Okay, it's very, very easy to see who are developers in the room and who are not. So if you are sure there are no more questions? No? Do you have a final word, some of you?
No, for me, it's as long as, so the soul, whether it's XR, VR, whatever it is, flat gaming, as long as you're enjoying, as long as you're having fun, I don't give a shit what platform it is. But indeed, for me, each platform, and especially XR platforms, you need a native XR experience. Trying to clone a game that has been originally made for something else, it's usually a bad idea. But games that are made from the ground up to be on these kinds of platform, they usually make a lot of sense. And those who try to port them usually fail. So that's my advice is if you want to do an XR game, make an XR game and just make an XR game without any compromises. Don't make something that can be used on other platforms.
Last thing I would say, it's especially in Belgium now, we have a pretty huge VR ecosystem, XR ecosystem, if you can say also. And if you want to start in XR now and you are in Belgium, you have a lot of people to talk to, and that made the big games that are now available on the store, and that invented even some concept and stuff. So you are at the right place to start doing that kind of stuff. So if you start doing that, don't hesitate to talk to people. Everybody is really open to talk about stuff. Nobody has secrets, and we are all happy to share. So feel free to do so. Yeah, if you have no children, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's a bit the Far West for now in VR and XR. So you can really take your chance on it. And I think when we speak about multitasking and this kind of stuff, it's going to be very, very interesting when people are going to use headset to work and not like just an accessory just like that. They really use it. I work before in architecture, and people are really, really interested in that kind of solution because they can really do stuff that they can't for now. So it brings something new, just not an innovation. It brings something new. So I think when people are gonna buy more headset, it's gonna be very, very fun to see how they appropriate the system. For them.
Okay. Thank you, Laurent. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Lily. And thank you for the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.